Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Seller Club, episode 111. Drop that beat.
Yeah. The shift's underway. Glenn's home with baby girl. Do a holding it down today. Giveaways, rap when it's locked, all paid. Q1's wide open. Seller Club's back in play. Let's go.
How are you, Anna?
What's up, Ken? I'm loving this triple digit situation of 111. It's like a really great number.
Triple digit podcaster, you know what I'm saying? That's
We're getting
the
used to
title.
it. We're getting used to it.
Yeah, and surprise, well, not surprise for Glenn, but surprise for all of y'all. It's just me and Anna today.
That's right. Glenn knows what's going on.
Because Glenn's becoming a dad again.
Well, he's still a dad.
He
First time dad of two. How about that?
First time dad of two. Right. So, Glenn has another baby girl. So, congratulations to Glenn. So, we're giving him a break.
Yeah. We're nice co-hosts. We're not going to be like, get in here and record.
Yeah. I mean, he's out of state, but if he was, I would just bring a mic. If he was nearby, if we were neighbors,
take a mic up to the hospital.
Yeah, I just bring a mic. Like,
I mean, the show must go on, you know?
Yeah.
No, he'll be back. He'll be back soon. But obviously, he's taking a little breather.
Exactly.
Which is awesome. So happy for him.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess second episode of the year.
Yeah.
And huge congratulations to all the winners for a giveaway. You should be getting all your tracking numbers pretty soon. We gave away 2 wireless roller printers and $200 gift cards.
Yes, to eBay. With, of course, a bunch of other goodies. Because, you know, anytime we do a giveaway, we have to, like, pack the boxes full of fun stuff.
It's always
so there's always, like, disclosed and undisclosed prizes.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is really fun. But that was fun. We hadn't really done a big giveaway in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always just, like, such great energy from the community. And, you know, it's a really fun way to engage with everybody and see everybody come out and tag their friends and be like, oh, my gosh, this would be amazing, you know, to win. And I loved having 4 winners, too, because that's just, like, the more
there's so many. Yeah. I think we need to keep doing that. More winners moving forward.
Yeah.
I like that the chances are so high.
Yeah.
But, so let's start off with this. Anna, let's just say we're halfway through the month already.
Right. Yeah, we pretty much are.
How was your first, 2 weeks of the year?
Man, it's been good. It's definitely been getting back into like a groove again after traveling for the holidays. My sales have been pretty good, actually better than they were for the last couple weeks of December, which is really unusual for me. This past December was like, I don't want to say like the worst December, but the most underwhelming December of sales that I've had in a long time. And fortunately, it didn't totally thwart my goals. Like, I still had my best year to date, but I still barely missed my 100,000 mark.
Hey.
So that's a little infuriating. But at some point, I was at some point I was like, well, I don't want to like, sell everything at 90% off just to hit a goal.
Yeah.
And so I'll just let it be. And next year I'm going to absolutely crush it. So it was good motivation to hit the ground running when I got back. And again, like, I really can't be too mad because I still had my best year ever.
Right. That is a fun fact. Every time I've set a goal of a numerical goal, we've always felt short, like barely.
Just a little, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. And it's within like $1,000.
Yeah.
And you could tell like your day, you're already squeezing that day.
Mine was within 1,500, I think.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, maybe, we have a lot of years to be selling. We might end up with having like a rounded number. Imagine if you end up with like a 00, right? Like, like $101,000,
right?
Or $500,000, like a 0, like that would be something, but it wouldn't be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting just because in my experience, no matter what else, is different or wonky about any given year, Q4 is always huge. December specifically is always like my biggest month, like almost always. And I think what I learned, my October this year was really awesome. November was like a little bit underwhelming. And then December was like way underwhelming for what December usually is. But I think it really taught me, like, don't let off the gas when October is amazing. And I kind of did, because I was like, oh, great. Well, there's no way I'm not going to hit this at this rate, you know? So anyway, that was just kind of interesting. Like, there's always a bunch of factors, but be grateful, but don't let off the gas. I think I'm going to be thinking twice about that next time.
And that's what we kind of do on December. Like, December, again, like you said, historical has always been better. And once I feel like, you know, catching a wave in December, and ever since we've just been listing crazy. Because, you know, there's this phenomenon that we talked about, Q5.
Yes.
And that's kind of like what we're experiencing and how our first 2 weeks have been. January has been good, and I'm expecting it to get better, but also not just trying to let it go, you know. And there's really no cruise control or autopilot in this business. It's just kind of like, you know, having your pricing set properly, running your sales, because at the end of the day, my belief is a lot of people sell out on Q4, and you know, all the quote unquote lowballers on that listing that you have are now gone, and you're finally next.
And leaning into those rhythms, you know, is really important. I mean, that's one thing that I had to just let go of it at the very end of the year, because I was traveling for the last year, or the last week of the year, and there was like nothing I could do about it except depress my pricing more. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, so anyway, I'm excited though about Q1. It has been going well. We should probably mention that if you're listening to this, the day that it drops, on January 12th, tomorrow on the 13th is when the new, ads attribution changes go into effect on eBay. There's been a lot of talk about this in the community for the last couple months. A lot of outrage about it, I feel like, to be honest. But good, bad, or ugly, like, it's changing tomorrow. So if you haven't thought about it, if you don't know how or whether you're changing your ad strategy, like, this is your last day to get a handle on that and decide before it goes into effect.
Yep. So, like we've said before, we roll with the punches and we adjust with the change and pivots. And if there's things that we could do on our end, we'll try. But if there's none, it is what it is.
Yes.
So, pretty excited about, you know, this year. I know you do, you know, a lot more, I would say, organized way of trying to plan your year.
Yeah.
How was that for you at the beginning of the year?
I mean, I love that process. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but I will tell you just a little window into how I approach that. You know, organizing my time and my whole life basically in a paper planner is what I do every year. And I'm always referring back to it. But, you know, I really looked at this past year and said, okay, what are the things I want to do more of? What are the things I want to say no to this year? And what are the things that I can, like, scale back a little bit so that they don't take up as much bandwidth? And that was super helpful. I mean, I had many things in all of those categories, and it really helped bring some clarity to what my priorities are. I really think that, you know, the most satisfying way to live your life is in alignment with, like, your values and your priorities. But, you know, there's all kinds of things vying for our time and attention all the time. So it doesn't always, you know, get executed perfectly. But it's always good to look back, learn from what you experienced in the year, and try to have a more aligned, satisfying kind of year where you're, like, doing the important stuff and the stuff that means the most to you, right? So I feel like I had a really good time kind of doing that and having a really great, hopeful sense of what can happen this year, and whether it's my business goals or how I'm spending my personal time or projects I want to do at my really cool old house that I love to work on. Like, I'm excited about all of it, and it doesn't feel overwhelming because it's prioritized. So we'll
Right,
see.
right.
It's like it's not an exact blueprint either.
Right.
It's not super rigid, but it's helpful to have some kind of a framework.
Yeah, it's good to have a guidance and
Yeah.
kind of like a kind of like structure around, because at the end of the day, right? Like
Yeah.
um we live in a society where we see so many different examples,
Oh yeah.
so many different people's lives that we look up to, or quote unquote, like, okay, I envy that side, I envy that part, I want
Right.
that. And then next thing you know, you have like a giant basket of, I want to get it done, or I want to do it, but you have a limited time. So
Right. And then it's just like, oh man, this is just a huge to-do list that seems impossible.
yeah.
But I would always in general rather have a plan and be able to change that plan than have
Right.
no plan, because I feel like for me and my whatever the way I function in,
Right.
in my personality, having no plan, I feel like I'm guaranteed to waste the time and resources that I have.
Right.
So more on that later. I feel like that's going to
Right,
play
right.
directly into our conversation, but we
Yep.
do have an interesting topic today kind of along those lines.
So yeah, I'm very interested about what we're gonna be talking about. As we call it, I think this is kind of a mindset episode. Just try to challenge the way we think. Especially during this time of the year, January. If you have made plans already, if you kind of like wrote down things that you wanna do this year, or you could be like me that, let's just do it over again. I'm a fan of last year.
You're like, I loved that. Let's just
yeah.
go
So
for a
let's
repeat here.
Yeah, or let's just try to polish it a
A
little
refined repeat. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
a refined, yeah. And I think this conversation could help us. I believe this is kind of like sided towards the business side, but I
Yeah.
think it could be mirrored on our personal lives.
I'm
as
sure
well.
it could apply elsewhere
Yep.
too.
Yep,
And
yep,
honestly, like, there's a lot of pressure and just general, like, I don't know, rhetoric about like having your New Year's resolution and being ready to like press play on day one, right? January 1st.
Right.
But the truth is, like, think about if you took all of Q1 even to kind of wrap your head around how you want this year to go. You still have 75% of the year after that to execute. So if
Right.
you're like slower to plan or slower to decide, like, that's okay. Even if you haven't been getting after some goal already, like, it's not too late. And that doesn't mean your only option is to just not think about it.
Yep, correct. So Anna, why don't you kick it off and introduce what are we going to be talking about today?
Okay, Ken. So we are talking about basically one thing versus another.
Okay.
And the things are we going to copy or are we going to create?
Okay.
And we're intentionally kind of framing this as two different lanes because when you look at the business world, it kind of seems like they are two distinct lanes. And, across different types of businesses, like you'll see how this plays out. But, I think we need to just dig into it. Like, what do we feel is the way for a reseller?
Right.
Should you copy something, some business model or something someone else is doing, or should you create your own path?
Yeah, and I guess we hear the word innovate on that kind of like lane that, but I've always been a believer of you got to stick to one lane and give it some time for results to show.
You got to like commit to the lane.
Right. I think that's one of the things that I've observed throughout the years in just following people that have documented their journey. It's, yes, they might be doing something different, but they rode that lane that led them to that different path.
Yeah.
It's never been that guy that jumps from one thing or another too quick, too fast. And I have to admit, that was me when I was young. I felt like I didn't understand the limitation of time and energy.
Like, what limitation?
Yeah, I believe that I can just sleep later, eat later, and rest later.
Well, guess what, Ken? It's later.
Yes, right.
Now
right.
is later.
So that is why I've always been kind of like a believer, like, no, let's just do everything now.
Yeah.
Right? But also, it's easier to do when it's by yourself, because you really don't have to care for other people's well-being or kind of just time. But what I've discovered along the way is, you know, once I've had a business that I've had employees to pay, I was like, crap, I cannot keep them here all day long because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm paying for that time, and then they need time for themselves.
Yeah.
So valuing time and knowing that time is limited, I feel like that's when I came up with like, yeah, you can do all of this, but just not all at the same time.
Yeah.
So I guess we could, dive in deeper to, you know, are you just gonna and copy has a bad connotation in this world. Is that correct?
Well, I was just thinking about that. Thinking about like, copying your homework, right? Or
Right,
copying
right,
the
right.
test answers. Or,
Yeah.
right now it's AI, right? Like
Right.
everything that AI is generating is based on stuff that already exists that somebody else created, right? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like controversial and
Yeah.
it feels like cheating or something, right?
Right. But there's copy and create, but
Yeah.
if you bring it to the business world, right, they are, I would call create as kind of like the startups, the new
Yeah.
disruptors, right? We could probably put in Uber in that category,
Right.
Airbnb in that category, just the new different things, right? I never thought that you could order some takeout, food through DoorDash, right? Like that wasn't a thing before. You had to call. Now it's an app. You don't even have to have a human interaction and food shows up. So I think those are very unique, which we would be in the create lane. They created their own lane. But also people could say like, oh yeah, they've innovated off of something that's already
Right.
existing.
They
right?
didn't invent food delivery.
Right,
They
right,
just
right.
recategorized it.
Kind of like transportation, right? Like there was
Right.
taxi, there's buses, and then now there's quote unquote what they call it in the category of ride share, right?
Rideshare,
like
yeah.
the person that owns the vehicle is sharing their ride with you for an X amount of time. That's why
Right.
they get compensated that way. But also there's other things that are copied that are basically just kind of like you call them franchises.
And the whole point is copy this exactly so that it's
literally
successful.
here's the formula, right?
Right.
Like your McDonald's, your Burger King. I think typically like the easiest way to think about it is just the fast food that's readily
Yeah.
available, right? And
The
I think
franchise model.
I think that's one of the reasons why there's so many fast foods that don't quote unquote fail, because they're franchised
Yeah.
and they have the formula for it.
They have the proven system.
Yeah,
Well,
they
and
have
think
the-
about that with reselling. Like how many, whatever content creators do you see
Yeah.
in various avenues being like, hey, just do it. Just do what I did, right?
Right,
Just
right.
buy my course or just take the exact steps that I took. I mean, I've thought about this a lot, especially when I was writing my book, because I do disclose a lot of super specific nuts and bolts of like how I run my business, why, what's my thinking behind it, whatever. But it's very intentionally not saying you should do it this way. It's
Right.
like, here's how I've done it. Do with that information what you will. Like maybe that works for you and maybe not. But at least if you want to try it, you know why I tried it, you know how it worked out, you can see the data that resulted from it. You can, like you hear the story behind it, so it makes sense and you have the full context, not just do these 5 easy steps or whatever. But there are so many things like that where, if that promise is delivered upon, like great, you have a basically, if you can follow directions, you can be successful. That's pretty appealing, right? Like
Yeah.
that can be helpful.
I think that is one of the things that encourages me to keep sharing my story.
Yeah.
Because, going back to, I would say that I was in a copy lane when I started. And this is kind of like how it went.
Right.
Right. My copy lane was, wait,
Glenn.
all I have to do is
Copy
watch.
Glenn.
Yeah. All I have to do is watch Hustler Hacks and basically just do whatever this guy did, right?
Yeah.
His story of paying off his student loan and, paying off his car and buying a house. And I'm like, golly, that's like a full-time salary gig,
Yeah,
right?
dude.
And I was just like, let me just do this. And I was one of the people that was there every Wednesday night for when he goes live, and all I was just doing is just like trying to copy everything that they did.
Yeah.
And if there was this specific item, right, kind of like the bolo, I would just chase that. And then I realized the downside of copying is it would only work if, quote unquote, in the reselling game, if I copied Glenn, it would have only worked if I lived in El Paso.
If you exactly copy, right?
Right?
It's like,
Because
there's a difference in context.
Yes.
Where you are.
right, because here's the crazy part. We didn't have Ross when I followed Glenn. Like Cincinnati didn't have Ross.
Oh my gosh.
That's how.
Can you imagine?
Right. And then now we have like 10, right? And that's the crazy part. So I had to find a way to create, innovate off of what he was doing. So I guess what I've copied is the system of going out and
Right.
getting it, right?
You're
that-
not looking for the same fish. You're learning
Right.
to fish the way he fishes.
Yes. So
Yes.
his, one of the earliest quotes and, lessons that I've learned was when he said, you got to figure out when they restock, right? Because
Right.
usually stores have like a restock schedule or they have a shipment schedule. Because that's when they have to bring in more employees to process and stuff like that. That's one of the things that I copied right off the rip. And then when I tried to create the lane, which is the lane that I'm in right now, and I believe this when we formed this Seller Club podcast, that there are a lot of systems that we all share that
yeah.
people discount because of the items we sell.
That's your sneaker bias.
Right, and that's right. That's a lot of people's biases, right? Because
Right.
oh, I'm thrift. Oh, you're retail arb, and I'm like, yeah, but they're units, right? At the end of the day, they're just
Everything is
units.
an item in your inventory. Yeah.
Right, and then like, and at the end of the day, it's not like whether used or not, because there are used items that sell fast, and vice
Yeah,
versa.
of course.
So that one, I think I challenge everybody when you're looking at a business or a reseller or somebody sharing their story. Do not discount them by the product they're selling.
Right.
So that's, I guess, what my first kind of like lesson when you're looking at the two different lanes. Don't discount one or the other lane.
Yeah.
Just based on the product they're selling.
You'll learn a lot more if you don't do that. Right? It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of making an excuse at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's just preventing you from having helpful information for yourself.
Right,
So
right.
don't do that.
No, and one of the things, the craziest things, is what I gravitated to with a lot of the thrift or used sellers is these people can list.
Yep.
Like, that's when my head,
You're like,
I'm
oh my gosh, everything's a one-off. How
I'm
can
like,
you do
yeah,
that?
and because, like, the cost of acquisition, they were cheaper compared to my cost of acquisition.
Yeah.
I buy one pair of shoe, they're already buying 10, 20 items.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
that was
they could,
me.
and they could list that, and I'm like, so that's what I adopted on that lane that made me realize that I shouldn't have an excuse of I cannot list,
Yeah.
because there are people on a different lane, on a different product category, listing more items than I am.
Yeah, and to them it's just normal. They're not
Yeah,
even thinking
yeah.
twice about it.
Yeah. And then, like, like, I think, like, I've heard, like, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 listings. Like, that was kind of, like, the norm of, like, the levels of how they scale. And
Yeah.
I'm like, golly, like, at this point, I was like, I'm at 200 items.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
still selling stuff every day, like
Yeah,
replenishing and building. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So I think those are kind of like useful tips to when you evaluate your business.
Yeah.
Now let's kind of like transition to Anna in in where you're at right now, how are you carving your lane, or what lane are you in?
Yeah, I mean, that's really an interesting question for this moment in time. And this is part of why I'm like seriously considering writing a follow up to my book, because so much has changed. But just like you, I started copying because I'm like, I mean, there ain't no shame in that game, that you shouldn't needlessly reinvent wheels, right? Especially, I mean, I almost saw myself like an apprentice. Like, I am training in how to do this and how to run a business like this. But then once you master that, then you go, okay, so what is my version of running this business, right? How can I innovate from here? You know, even going back to the like Uber Eats or whatever, DoorDash example, it's like, yeah, I didn't invent, you know, delivering food, but how can I innovate like on at least a micro scale to innovate in my own life and my own business to make this expand and make this like fit better and work better and be more profitable and whatever. So I made so many changes, but it's like you can't take those calculated risks or make those creative innovations without like a good foundation of what you're doing in a basic way, right?
Right.
So I definitely agree that it's kind of like everybody in some sense, like nothing happens in a vacuum, right? So in some sense, we all start by learning the ropes. We all start by doing it at least loosely the way someone else did it, the general business model or whatever. Totally what I did. The Scavenger Life podcast was what taught me everything, just like Glenn taught you everything.
Right.
I listened to like 10 years of episodes of that podcast and picked up along the way basically how to run the ship, right? But then from there, you know, I got to evaluate everything. Well, how is it working? Well, what do I want to work better? And like definitely one of the biggest changes has been, I would say I'm almost half and half thrift and retail arb now, which is crazy. I never would have thought that a couple of years ago. It's almost like running two businesses within one store because of how different, I don't know, those processes are in some ways, right? Like the cost of goods is way different, but working together, you know, the net effect on my store has been like dialing in, I don't know, in a way, better and more meaningful like experience for me. Like I get to focus on the thrifted stuff that I'm really interested in and is really more valuable and not as much churn. Right. It's made some very clear, kind of streamlined some clear things about the way that I source and what I won't waste my time on.
Yeah.
It's also like infused a much higher ASP. My cost of goods has also gone up a lot more. I'm sure it's not 82 cents an item anymore like it was for years before, but it was worth that. You know, I sacrificed my low cost of goods for like a lot of other benefits, including much higher ASP overall and new sources. And in some ways, like diversification that's probably really good and healthy for my business to be sustainable, right? So I think like you have to start somewhere, start in that copy lane. And like, I could have just kept going. That's the thing. I could have just stuck to that lane. I could have just kept doing it and changed nothing. And, you know, the influences and pressures and powers that be in whatever, the economy, in the place where I live, in what's available to me, in my own time and energy, resources, whatever, all those things working together would have impacted, you know, my processes if they stayed totally the same. I would not have yielded the same exact results every year because those things would be changing my outcomes, right? Yeah. But kind of like you said at the beginning of this episode, like we got to roll with the changes. We have to decide, are we going to adapt to this? Are we going to ignore it? Are we going to focus on what we can control? Or are we going to rail against what we can't control and dig in and give up or whatever? Like there's a whole range of options, right? So I think for me now, this is the most kind of like curated and customized business that I've ever had, right? It's the least amount of copying because like the word that keeps coming to my mind is that it's been synthesized now. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, synthesis is different than just like digesting something. Right. It's different than just copying something. It's kind of like taking all of these different things and then combining them in a new way. or combining them in a complete way, right?
Yeah,
So,
I call it in when you're saying that, it's kind of like, right, like we all copy a certain recipe when we're
right.
trying to cook, when we're trying to bake, right? And then along the way, if you are, I would say, an artist or an experiment type of person, you substitute this with that. You add a little bit more
Right.
of these and
You're
that.
riffing, you're
Right,
improving,
right.
you're
The
tweaking
improv,
it.
which is, I think, that's the kind of like the musician on
For
our
sure.
part, right? Or like the artist on our part, that um I cannot not do this.
Yeah. You're
And
like, I
not
cannot
know.
leave well enough alone.
Right, and I'm just like, oh, I just gotta add a little bit more, and a lot of times, right, so when baking and cooking, it could turn up to be a little too sweet, a little too salty, but at the end of the day, it's really who's eating it, and right, like there
Yeah.
could be a million judge, and
Right.
they could not like it, but for you, if it's something that you like,
Yeah.
it's a win. And I
Garlic.
think-
More garlic.
Right, like, yeah, more onions, right? Like,
Right.
I want something crispy on top or something like that, right? So that's kind of like how I feel like, like, kind of like piggybacking off what you said, that we're on both our 8th year of business. We've laid, I would say, at this point, we've copied everything we wanted to copy.
Yeah, totally.
And then we're at a point where, okay, let me riff more now, because the systems that we have established, and kind of like the foundational stuff that we have done and are doing, it's so much harder to disrupt it with the other riffs that we're
Right.
doing.
It's like way lower. It's not just throwing spaghetti at the wall, right?
Yes, it's like, for example, like, this is a kind of like an example. We have reduced the box option on how we ship. So currently we used to only have 2 different boxes. Now we have 4, right? So we have 4 boxes. If it doesn't fit in these 4 boxes, if I'm not
You
making
cancel the sale.
no, I'm not even buying the product if it doesn't fit on the 4 boxes, unless I'm making over $50.
Yep.
So that's kind of like the mentality, right?
Yeah.
I'm willing to bend on that, right? So that's kind of like the system that we have in place
Right.
now, and that we rode that system for so long, until I found opportunities on clothing, and this is the perfect scenario where, like, golly, like, I don't know how to process clothing, and I don't know how to process numbers.
All the clothing sellers are laughing at you.
Right, and
Right
and
now, they're I hear them laughing.
Yeah, and
Welcome to the real world, Ken.
Right.
Sneaker,
And
sneaker. I'm just kidding.
and you know what I did? You know what I did the first time? The first time I knew and I figured out that Anna can handle 10,000 items, little trinkets here and there.
Oh, yeah.
Not boxed item. I was just like, hey, would you just fly over and help me create a system? She came over, basically copied the way her system would have ran if she had this.
Yep.
And then, 2-3 days later, we have a system that I
So,
copied.
Bam.
Done.
We're using this. Yep.
And we're using this. And that copy led to a point where, I mean, in 2025, we're 60-40. 60% sneakers and 40% clothing.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this year, we would be 50-50.
Yeah.
50% clothing, 50%. And that's just what is available. And for me, to be honest, it's one of the highest ROI items that I find.
And so now
Which is
you're
clothing.
doing poly mailers, probably, right?
Yes, so
because
now
it's not just boxes.
no, it's not boxes. And I kid you not, like 20, right? When I have to ship 20 and their clothing, it's one eBay bag, right? Back then, if I ship 20 pairs of shoes, I have to get a cart. And I'm like,
Yes.
I like this, right? There was a time I was like, when we've had to ship like 50 to 60 items, that would fill up the whole back of our car.
Yeah.
And now, like, it doesn't even fill it up. So I was like, wait, so that means even just the delivery itself, because we copied a system and we're creating a new lane for our business, right? Like you said, diversification.
Right.
We're carving a new opportunity for us to be able to sell more and pack and ship faster because, if they're organized like we do, we've organized it. It's so easy to pick it, and I don't have to tape anything. It's literally put on a poly bag and
self-sealing, baby.
Sealing it, right? So, and not only that, we have, because I was like, at $450,000 worth of products, my basement will be packed. That was when my mindset was all shoes.
Right.
Now we just crossed 400,000 listed, and we're like 80% full.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait, I could fit way more than so now my estimate said my basement could hold $650,000 listed with a lot more clothing.
Without having to build a bigger basement.
Yeah, because like I was already thinking like if I need a bigger place, I'd have to move. And that was the only thing. And then now to come realize, like, I still have my garage if I really need to spill over, and that's not even being used right now. So I think the lane that we've kind of like rode and created, as long as you stay on the basics and the process, the way you pre-pack, the way you run your inventory, any nuances between that is not going to disrupt it, and as long as you stick to it long term.
Yeah, like you're committed to that.
You have to.
I think it's interesting, like this idea that if you just choose the lane of copying, right?
Yeah.
And you just kind of plug and play that and go on autopilot.
Yeah.
Like eventually there's no like passion or creativity in that, right? But at the same time, I feel like there's this sweet spot where when you're learning the ropes, like maybe it starts out as something that you're just memorizing or you're just replicating, right? You don't own it kind of internally yet. You're just doing it. You're trying to get it right. You're trying to copy someone else. But then there's a point at which you start to master it. And that's when I feel like you get really passionate and really creative. And
I like that.
I think that is your signal.
Yeah.
That's the point at which you should change lanes. Like your runway should be a copy, but your whole journey should be something you create.
Right.
You shouldn't live your whole journey on that copied runway, right?
Yeah, because
it should be leading you somewhere.
Yeah, because eventually, right? It's kind of like, putting on a GPS, going to your favorite store, right? The first time you do it, you might have to GPS it multiple times. And then you start figuring out, like, when's the rush hour in this area? Or maybe there's another back road.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you start taking the back road way more often. And all of a sudden, like, the initial path to just quote-unquote the GPS path is not the path that you want to take anymore.
Right.
Because you like this
scenic
route. Right. Like, and again, that's part of the enjoyment of the journey.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people is like, okay, let me just copy and paste it because I cannot wait for the result, right? Like, I can't wait for the destination. And unfortunately, I think it works if you're trying to go to a donut shop. It don't matter whether you copy or create. If you're going into a donut shop, you're definitely gonna have a great experience when you get to the destination, right? It don't matter.
If you like donuts,
right. If you like donuts and you're heading to a donut shop, I could care less. I could Uber, I could taxi.
Yeah. Don't mind
I don't mind,
the
right?
Pathway specifics.
But the thing is, with business and with life, the destinations are hardly the destinations. There might be just rest area.
They're like touch points.
They're just touch points.
Yeah.
But really, in all reality, it's really the journey. It's the way to get there. So yes, there's the safe way.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, I highly encourage everybody to take it the first time heading there.
Sure.
Don't experiment.
Use your GPS.
Right? And then the next few times, create your own path, create your own time schedule. And I think that's why a lot of artists and a lot of us are loving the journey or the challenge of being an entrepreneur trying to create our own path.
Totally. And, you know, if you're like Ken and you're like, let's rinse and repeat or refine and repeat this year, maybe a good question to ask yourself is, how can I enjoy each little step in my processes more? Right? Because that's the other thing. It's like, we're human beings. Like, maybe we're excited about business or we're excited to achieve goals or whatever, you know, those kind of things that come with entrepreneurship, that entrepreneur mindset. But like, you're living it the whole way. Like you just said, it's about the journey. So ask yourself that. Like, maybe it's worth setting a goal about how you can actually enjoy your work more. Like, I love working. I'm a hard worker and I know it. But like, I want to enjoy my work, you know? It's not just I got it done at the end of the day that's satisfying about it. It's like during the work as well.
Would you agree to that fulfillment comes with refinement of a process or of a thing that you have? Like, do you find I get so much fulfillment when I know that something is already working, and let me add a little bit more to it,
and now it's working better,
right?
And
that is if there was a tradition or a New Year's resolution that I've always done, it's changing our photo backdrop on shoes.
It's a tradition.
It's because that, you know how they always say, like, oh, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know. But me, I'm just like, man, if it's good, it could be better. So that, crazy enough, like yesterday, I just went crazy. I was just crazy taking photos because it was the environment was a little bit different.
Like fresh.
It was fresh, right? Like, I think I could do the same thing over and over again, a year tops. After that, I just get tired of it. So figure that out in your system, right? Because it don't have to be new. It could just be different, right? Like, you could just change the background, change the lighting, change something. And that's kind of like, I guess, a good challenge for us all to, like, what's something that you've always done, you like doing, that doesn't, you know, that's not broken. Refine it and see what would that be for you. What's that thing that you've done that you've refined over let's say you're planning to, or you just did, that's bringing you some fulfillment.
And I mean, it's enriching your own environment to be like fresh and different is helpful for sure, but also, like, it is really well established that mastering something and like the concept of mastery is very satisfying to people. And when you're, you know, ever improving and, you know, incrementally increasing and improving things, like, that almost gives you a new challenge, a new something to master. And it's not like such a huge challenge that it's overwhelming and scary. It's like, oh yeah, I can improve this and I can pretty much immediately master it, and that'll feel really satisfying, right? So it's like you're mastering something just a little bit beyond what you're already able to do, you know, day in and day out. It's like your growing edge, I guess. Right.
No, I like that. Mastering something and refining. That should be a thing, right? I think that'd be a good evaluation. Try to look at your process, right? Like, even the way you ship, the way you inventory, the way you put things. I think one of the things that we've done actually recently is we don't take photos or kind of like finish a listing of stuff if we don't have a place for it to go to. So this is what kind of like happens now. Like, I get like 20 pairs of shoes, right? We'll bring it down to the basement. I immediately look for where the finish line is for this product. So now what I've been doing is I try to reorganize that section. It's like, okay, 20 pairs will fit here.
So it's like ready.
Right, because then the flow goes so much faster. Because this is how we do it. JC drafts it, and then I take photo. I put the photos on the drafted listing. JC finishes the draft, so after the photo's done, finalizes it, and then we take it to that spot.
And then it's done.
It's done, and
both
of us,
there's no cracks for things to fall through.
Right, and both of us know where this thing is at.
Right.
So that is the cool part about now like batching listing stuff is like so much, like the fulfillment is so much faster because it's not sitting on a corner waiting for one of us to create a space for where it goes to.
That's just it, built into the process.
Yeah,
You can't move on to the next batch until all that's done and put away. Yeah. So. I do a similar thing with mine too. Like I'll assign a bin number before it's actually listed. Like it's already in my spreadsheet with the bin number. So you know,
so that's the location, right?
Yeah. When I'm like getting ready to like right now I have a bunch of stuff to photograph and I already have it in the bins that it's going to go in after it's photographed. It then comes out of the bin, gets photographed, and goes right back in. So it's like, you know, a really it's supposed to foolproof like things not being where they're supposed to be.
Right. No, that is true. That is, and I think a lot of us too is like the bigger your store gets, the higher chance of you not finding the item.
The more built in that needs to be, really.
Right, because then that's just a time suck, right? Like imagine starting your day shipping, trying to lose one item.
Well, and honestly, that's one of those things that I wish I had done a tidier job of that. I wish I had copied a system more specifically about that when I first started. But and that's going to come up later in the podcast this month. We're going to be talking about some beginner stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like, there are a few things that it's kind of like, just, you know, try out what works for you. But there's a few things that it's like, no, just take our word for it.
You just do this.
Start, you know, do this from the jump. Yeah. And you can always change it later, but you won't. Because there's not really a more efficient way, right?
Yeah, so I think the challenge for this month that we'd like to, you know, tell you guys and encourage you guys to follow, we're gonna be, you know, either I call it go back to the basics kind of strategy, or evaluate your foundation and try to, you know, test your system, find where the friction is, and make sure you have a solution for it, because if it's slowing you down, growing will be very painful. If your process is slowing down right now already, and you're not even growing yet, it's just gonna be a mess. And I think that's the challenge. Identify something that you want to copy it, stick to it until you master it.
Right.
And once you master it to a point that, you know, it's kind of like second nature, then now add some sprinkles to it. Add the cherry on top.
I was just gonna say, if you don't mention the cherry on top, I'm firing you right now.
Right. Put in some whipped cream on top of it, or a little extra today, maybe less tomorrow.
Perhaps some pistachio crumbles.
Yeah, but don't forget the cherry on top, because I at the end of the day, I think the cherry on top is, you know, we get to create something, a business that we care about. Whether it's a full-time gig or a side hustle gig, it is something. I think pretty cool to build an e-commerce hustle, selling online. So,
totally.
Anna, anything else?
I mean, my final thought about it is kind of, even if you've been running your business for 8 years like we have, if it's not where you want it to be, time for another runway, you know?
Yep.
Don't be stagnant. Don't be defeated. Find something that you need to change. Copy it. Like Ken said, commit to it. Commit to the copy.
Right.
And then wait until that mastery, that passion and creativity enters the scene. And that's your time to like really take it and run with it in the way that is innovative for you, right? Like, you don't have to have a one-time runway into starting your business. You can have another runway into a pivot, or into diversifying your inventory, or into a new system that works better for you. Into a new way of reselling, right? Maybe you want to do live selling. Maybe you want to like list on a new platform or whatever. You can have a runway to get there, and that you can totally copy. So
yeah, exactly.
I think that's kind of the wrap on it, but definitely an interesting topic for, you know, early in the year. Also a cool time, I think, for us personally to think about this and talk through it and evaluate it, because we have been in business for like 8 years now, and you know, we're not going to stay stagnant. Like that's not our nature anyway. So it's a really interesting way to think about it.
Alrighty. Well, Thank you guys for listening. Huge shout out to eBay. Make sure you follow them at eBay for sellers, and also Seller Ledger. Get your book straight. Taxes are up and coming.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
gonna hear more from them in the next few episodes. So we will see you in the next one. Peace.
See ya. Bye.
This year kicking off a little sideways. New goals heavy, but we're trying in our own ways. Some days you list, some days you stare at the death pile sitting in a folding chair.
Can't take O2.
Cross's dream sounded good on paper, then the tools froze up, maybe later.
Can't take O2.
But we ain't here to fake perfection. Mistakes just map the right direction. If the mountain's high and the climb feels rough, just slice it thinner when it's too much. Can't take O2. We're learning as we go, trying things and letting go. Copy or create, find your flow. A little grace will take you far. Don't rush to cross that line. Q1's voice says take your time to show up steady. You'll be fine. That's how sellers grow their stars. Glenna ain't gone, just daddy duty calling. New baby girl got his whole world spinning.
Can't take O2.
Yeah. Life hits hard, but hearts stay tethered. Seller club rolls on together. Giveaways wrapped in sand with love. Ship to folks we're cheering from above.
Can't take
From
O2.
screen to store to warehouse live, we're all just hustling for something right. Some wins come fast, some come slow. Some doors close, so new ones grow. Just keep your faith, you'll get there, friend. This ain't a sprint, it's miles to bend. We're learning as we go, trying things and letting go. Copy or create, claim your glow. A little grace will take you far. Celebrate the steps you made. Every risk, every heartbreak. Do it scared, do it away. Seller Club, that's who we are.
Drop that beat. Close the week. Thanks for riding this road. See you next time.
Seller Club.